Have you ever stopped to think about what really goes on behind the scenes of, those huge success stories? We see the final product, the big wins, but what about the moments before all that, the mentors, the guides? Today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. We're looking at a really interesting story about Bill Gates, specifically his early years. Yeah, we're digging into a source called Clara Thompson's Influence on Bill Gates, the teacher who shaped a tech titan. Now, it's not strictly biographical, but it explores the specific kind of mentorship, how it helped shape him when he was young, passionate about tech, but maybe a bit adrift. The narrative uses a fictional character, but she embodies some real influences and principles from that time.
Right. And our mission here is really to pull out the key lessons from this story. It paints a picture of how, a really specific, impactful mentorship can turn raw talent into something truly significant. And crucially, how learning to face failure head on is often, well, absolutely central to that whole process.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're talking Seattle, 1972, Lakeside School. And there's a 16-year-old Bill Gates, already obsessed with computers, right? But the source says, and this is kind of surprising, he actually felt lost, which is powerful, isn't it? Even someone like him felt that uncertainty. It wasn't about smarts, maybe more about direction, how to channel all that energy. So enter Miss Clara Thompson. She's presented as this fictional math teacher, but she stands in for that sort of real-world, tough-love mentorship Bates experienced. And what's really striking is her insight. She sees past the shyness of this 16-year-old. She spots this innate talent, this kind of raw processing power just bubbling away. Not just good grades, but a different way of thinking. And she doesn't just, pat him on the back. She ignites it. She gives him a seriously audacious challenge. Not a textbook problem, no. Build a complex scheduling program for the entire school. Now remember, this is 1972. That's a massive undertaking for a high school kid. We're talking managing classes, teachers, students, the whole thing. Using the tech they had back then. It's like, okay, jump in the deep end. Real problem, real pressure.
And that's just fascinating, isn't it? Because effective mentors, they don't just praise. They don't just teach skills in isolation. They challenge. They push you to apply that talent in a demanding, practical way, often with real stakes involved. It's like knowing a plant has potential, but then actually putting it in challenging soil so it has to grow stronger roots. It really raises a key question, I think. How vital is it to give developing talent a genuinely complex, real-world problem to wrestle with early on, instead of just, controlled exercises? Because it's in that messy reality that you often see what someone's truly capable of, how resilient they are. They learn faster.
Right, and that challenge led directly to this really critical moment. The source describes it vividly. Bill builds the program, pours hours into it, and then during the big public demo, it fails, completely bombs. Just imagine that. The faculty, maybe other students watching, and him, 16, seeing his work just fall apart. The text says his confidence crumbled. This wasn't a small bug. It was a huge public setback, hit him right where it hurt. But here's the kicker, Thompson's reaction. This is the heart of it. It's described as this tough love mentorship, apparently modeled on real influences in Gates's life. So no sympathy card, no easy out, not at all. Her genius really was in teaching him not to fear the failure, but to learn how to dissect it, how to iterate from it, how to conquer it. She didn't just fix it for him. She demanded he shift his whole perspective on what failure even meant. Turn that defeat into data, into a roadmap for the next attempt. Failure wasn't the end. It was information.
And that really gets at something so fundamental about real learning and growth, doesn't it? It's understanding that setbacks aren't walls. They're like essential feedback loops in the system. You need them. This goes way beyond just coding or debugging. It's about building psychological muscle, resilience. It's that mental toughness to take the hit, look objectively at what went wrong, adjust, and then, crucially, go again. Wiser this time. That experience pushed Gates from just thinking about code to thinking about strategy, about robustness, both technical and emotional. It makes you ask, how do we actually foster that ability? To embrace failure so it builds confidence, not destroys it. It's not about liking mistakes, obviously, but using them as these incredibly powerful, if sometimes painful, teachers.
And he absolutely did learn from it. The story goes on to say Bill, with Thompson basically expecting him to fix it, didn't quit. He went back, dug into the code, started that meticulous, probably frustrating process of refining it, iterating, debugging, maybe rethinking parts of it entirely. It wasn't a quick patch. It was a real discipline effort, fueled by realizing the failure was just a problem to be solved, not, proof he couldn't do it. And then, when he presented the program again, it worked. perfectly. Huge win, right? School-wide praise, massive validation for a young programmer. But maybe even more important was the internal shift, that newfound belief in his own ability to overcome obstacles. Forged in that earlier failure, the public win was great, sure, but the lasting impact was that deeper self-belief. So connecting this back to the mentor's impact, what's the takeaway? The narrative wraps up with this really powerful symbol. Bill Gates later dedicates his first Microsoft share to Clara Thompson. That's
Yeah.
huge, isn't it? A real testament to her influence. She didn't just see the talent, she dared to test it, and crucially taught him how to turn a fall into a launchpad. It wasn't just about coding skills, it was learning how to learn from things going wrong. That's the indispensable skill for an innovator.
Absolutely. And this story, even using a fictional character to embody these principles, really drives home a vital truth. Even the people who achieve incredible things, they didn't get there alone. And they certainly didn't get there without stumbling. Often, quite badly. It shows that genius isn't just raw intelligence or technical skill. It's deeply tied to that resilience, that self-belief that gets built through experiences like these. A mentor like Thompson, they understand how to guide someone through both success and failure, how to help them learn the critical lessons from each. It's about teaching the process, giving them the tools and the perspective to handle the bumps in the road, not just pointing at the finish line. That kind of guidance shapes more than skills. It shapes character. And that foundation is everything when you're trying to build something truly groundbreaking.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the core ideas from our deep dive into Clara Thompson's influence on Bill Gates. First, a sharp mentor can spot potential hidden under, shyness or lack of experience. Second, it's incredibly important to push people, challenge them with real problems, get them out of their comfort zones, not just theory. And maybe the biggest point, the transformative power of learning to really use failure. Not just endure it, but analyze it, learn from it, build resilience.
Yeah, it really underscores that even these titans like Gates, with all that natural ability, they needed that kind of guidance. They needed someone to help frame setbacks, not as dead ends, but as necessary steps, stepping stones, really, on the path to doing something significant. It's a journey that takes more than just brains. It takes grit, emotional strength, and the wisdom to learn from disappointment.
So as we wrap up, here's something for you to think about. Consider your own path. Have you had any Clara Thompson moments? Times when someone saw something in you, pushed you, or maybe helped you reframe a failure, helped you turn that moment of doubt into something solid, a foundation for growth, or maybe flip it around. How could you be that kind of insightful guide for someone else, someone who feels maybe a bit lost despite their passion, helping them find their footing, navigate challenges, and build that crucial self-belief?